Hi there. My name is Kris Pierce, and you're watching Drunk Copyright. Drunk Copyright. Drunk Copyright. Drunk Copyright. Now, in all disclosure, I have started pre-gaming a little bit. Uh, but that shouldn't stop us from having an interesting conversation. Now, we're doing this. We're sitting down because I see a lot of my DJ friends are experiencing these muted Facebook Live sessions. You know, they're doing DJ sets, Facebook Live. We're all at home. It makes sense. And well, afterwards or after a period of time, their shit's getting muted. And I think it would be helpful if we talked about why is this happening? Why is this even a thing? Right? So, in all, I gotta do this again. Today's broadcast is brought to you by Budweiser. Just kidding. No, it's not really. But I am drinking Budweiser. I know. Don't judge. Don't judge. All right. So we're talking about DJ sets getting muted. So what are we talking about? We are talking about what is a recording. You're playing a piece of vinyl that has a recording of a performance, right? By somebody. Let's say it's me for this part. So what you're basically doing is that recording is a proxy for me being in the living room, standing right next to you with all of my gear and performing that song for you. You know, it would be as if you bought Appetite for Destruction by Guns N' Roses, and every time you pressed play or you dropped the needle, Axl Rose and Slash and the gang all appear magically in your living room and perform Welcome to the Jungle. You know, after a while, you know, Axl Rose is going to be like, I don't want to go to your living room and perform that, but I'd still like you to listen to it. So here's a proxy, all right? So, proxy. Uh, what we come up across is a history. Why did we say that performance was a proxy of me being in your living room, or of Axl Rose and Slash being in your living room playing that song? Well, you have to really go back to the 1930s to the 1950s and understand that bootlegging was rampant. You know, Motown got, I think, hit the hardest, where you had these characters, these people who were taking artist music, slapping them on inferior vinyls, putting the artist name on there, and then selling it out of their basement in their trunk. So you had this inferior product going out that looked like it had the okay of the artist and the original owner of the recording, and that's problematic, you know. So people were taking other people's. But you gotta understand throughout the course of history, you know, everyone from like William Shakespeare to the Bible, plagiarism and taking other people's work was rampant. We're talking thousands of years, you know, literally thousands of years. It was commonplace to take somebody else's work and then maybe put somebody else's more famous name on it and then sell it, you know. And I feel like it's not unreasonable to say, hey, maybe we should talk first before you do that, you know. And I think that's where a lot of shit's getting kind of muddled up in the conversation is where that line in the sand is. We have a bit of a cognitive dissonance when it comes to treating music as if it's a proxy of someone or like it's a tangible thing because we can't see it. And as a race of humans, we have this overwhelming need to see something be a thing before we agree that it's actually a thing. Um, you could take the current affairs as an example. You know, there are a lot of people that disagree with everybody being quarantined and staying home, and it's because the last time that we did this, you know, our grandparents hadn't even been born yet. So we assume that since it was so long ago, it's not applicable to now, right? So, and that's not right either. You know, in the end, that's not an accurate way to look at things. You know, always got to pay attention to history. So, need some more of this. Collecting thoughts. All right. So, back on track. So, since Axl Rose doesn't want to appear in your living room, you recorded it, and now you have the ability that at your free will, you can press play, drop the needle, however it is, and you get to hear that performance. And that in of itself is a game changer. It's amazing. It's one of the greatest things, in my opinion, that has ever been invented, is the ability to have this music by proxy. So where we start to really stumble in the cognitive dissonance is it's bad for Static X and Dope to have their drums and LED walls and have all their equipment stolen. Like, I believe across the board we can all say that's a really, really bad idea. The people who did that should be punished, right? You can see the drums. You can see the LED wall. So it's real to you. But so is this performance. That is real. You just don't see it. So it's okay to use this, but it's not okay to take and use that. You know, you're taking the same issue, and you have conflicting ideas about how to enforce the legality of that issue. You can't press play, have Slash and Axl Rose appear in your living room, and when the song's over, you don't look at Slash and be like, I'm going to take your guitar and I'm going to use it in my next gig, because Slash is going to look at you and be like, no, it's my guitar. You can't take my guitar and then go use it. No, that's not how that works. You go get your own guitar, right? Or come talk to me. Maybe I'll let you borrow it. And but here, there's the important thing. You know, it requires going to talk to somebody. You know, I think that's fair. That's reasonable. I don't think Slash is going to let you do that, but you know, you can try. So here we go. You're not going to take Slash's guitar because he'd be like, what the fuck? But yet, why don't you consider what he did with that guitar to be on the same level of propriety as having his guitar? So you take Slash out of the picture, and that guitar is not going to sound as good. You know, and I feel like there's your threshold question that a lot of people aren't talking about is, can you remove a portion of that picture and have the integrity of what you're seeing stay intact? So that's how we kind of defined ownership of songs, of our portions of those songs. Um, uh, as an example, let's say I could display all the logos in the world. It wouldn't matter. I could put all of them there, including Disney front and center. But if I take the Disney logo out, the integrity of what I'm still trying to say stays intact. Right? It doesn't matter. I could replace Disney with everybody, and it doesn't matter. So that's how you're going to define if you have a right to use something, to use this intellectual property, which is what it really is. Well, some of it isn't intellectual, but it really is. Just because you can't see it, it doesn't mean it's not a real thing. So if you're, let's say you do just a quick look ahead, if you're a guy in a bedroom broadcasting to Facebook Live and you're playing a song, let's say Clint Eastwood by Gorillaz, if you take the DJ in the bedroom out of the picture, will the integrity of the song still be there? And in this particular case, the answer is yes. Well, since you can't remove the DJ from the live stream, now Facebook doesn't have the rights to record that and provide it for playback, because you haven't fulfilled your part of, I was an integral part in good faith of the song that you're hearing right now. So you haven't met the threshold. And that's great that there's a threshold. When everybody was stealing the music and trying to sell it out of their trunks, this threshold hadn't been put in the sand yet. The Copyright Act of 77 was a line in the sand. It was like, hey, we're not going to tell you guys not to do this, but we're going to tell you the right way to do it. And I think a lot of what's happening right now is DJs getting upset that their shit's getting muted when really everything can be solved by just following the steps that you gotta follow. Like when you broadcast to Facebook, you are doing the same thing that iHeart is doing. So you're saying that iHeart can then take my music, enrich themselves, and profiteer off of my art. That's okay? No, if you're going to engage in the same activity as them, you're going to run afoul of the same rules that they're applying. And with iHeart, it is absolutely fair that there be some sort of compensation or rights acquisition. It is absolutely fair to the musician that they do it the right way. So if they have to do it the right way, why can't you do it the right way? So really, I feel like a lot of this is coming down to you just don't want to. Right? It's some stumbling blocks. You can't be off the cuff. It requires pre-planning. You want to be able to just go with the flow. But in the end, if you go with the flow, then I have to let them go with the flow. We're going to make it even across the board. So if you want to participate in an activity that has to be kind of regulated on a larger scale, then play by those rules. Don't be taking my stuff and putting it out there without talking to me first. I say that. I personally don't care. Do you know how most of my stuff, most of the Halo SKU stuff is available pirated behind a paywall. I mean, why is that fair? I mean, you're using the same excuse that these pirates are saying, that they're allowed to profit off of my tracks because the tracks exist. You see, like, you're just running afoul of the rules that are protecting me not so well from actors like that. And how or what kind of litmus test? There isn't a litmus test built in to say, oh, well, DJ whatever so and so is being cool and genuine, is just trying to have a good time, but DJ over there is using your same excuse and making money off of it and not compensating me for it. Why don't I deserve to have a part of that? So, yeah, it's really nuanced. Yeah, there isn't a real clear-cut way to solve the problem. I want all the bedroom DJs to kind of be able to do their thing, but I should be allowed to keep an eye on it. If I, here's a great example. On my YouTube, I did a demo. I did this ethereal, trailer-esque remix of a track, and I put it over the intro sequence, visual sequence to Jessica Jones, and posted it on Facebook. Now, it triggered an AI that they were asked permission, and they said yes. So I'm allowed to demonstrate that my music works with a television show trailer. And I appreciate that. It's clearly a demonstrative piece. But I did the same thing with Black Swan. And I put my remix of Face the Music by Conjure One over clips from Black Swan. Now that got tagged as no. They said no. And I got flagged. I took it down. So I was using the exact same argument. But once they had a chance to pitch in and have a voice about their art, what they put together, if you took my music out, then I'd simply been showing their art that I hadn't really added anything to. And so I hadn't gained the right, I hadn't gained any kind of real fair use. And that's where you guys need to understand what fair use actually is. In the context of this, I can now show Budweiser's logo. I can show the canister. I can show any other logo. And then take that logo away and replace it with something else. And my point is still going to be made. Because I'm making a genuine effort to provide context and educational point of view. A DJ set isn't doing that. You're not stopping in the middle of your set and explaining what you're doing with the faders. So you're not demonstrating anything. You're demonstrating your ability to take somebody else's drums out of their storage locker and presenting them because you felt like you should. I don't know. I could say that after 70 or so years, maybe it is time that we take a look at some of the provisions within the Copyright Act and we say, all right, we got to make some adjustments. But then you have to also say, well, I could think of some other really old documents that can use some adjustments too. And all of a sudden now you realize that some people's opinions are going to get really strong when you do that. You can't go look at the Constitution and be like, let's change the preamble. But, no, don't do that. You might look at the Bible and be like, maybe we should do a translation that is closely more resembling to what was actually said, and people are going to be like, no, the way it's presented now is fact. So they're not necessarily wrong and they're not necessarily right. Everybody's opinion here has to kind of be taken at equal value. So if you can't remove yourself from your Facebook Live video and have that song be altered in such a way that your participation in that video is integral to the performance of that song, then as it stands now, the answer is no until it's yes. Alright? The answer is no until it's yes, or we revisit and we create litmus tests and we start creating a more defined threshold within the Copyright Act that allows Joe Schmo to operate like iHeart and not have to play by the same rules. Oh yeah. You've been watching Drunk Copyright with Kris Halo Pierce.